Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here today. So Doechii was at Paris Fashion Week, and I think it was like last week or like 2 weeks ago or something like that. And she had the most beautiful makeup done, and Chelsea was actually the makeup artist behind those looks. She traveled with her to Paris and did her looks for literally all of the shows she attended. She not only is she a makeup artist, but she's also a creator on TikTok, and she was kind enough to do a product breakdown of all of the products that she used while she was doing Doechii's makeup. So we're going to be doing the Schiaparelli look today. I first saw this on TikTok and I just thought she looked so beautiful and blurred, and everything just fit her face and her features perfectly, and I just wanted to try it out. So yeah, this is how the look turned out. I want to get you guys like really nice and close so you can see just how beautiful we look. I love this so much, and especially my under eye. There are no lines or creases in sight. It is just perfect. So let's get into it. Hi, Pookie! So y'all can see how serious I am about this, I literally took down notes. Like this is like my little notebook that I use for like videos to plan out and stuff, and I wrote down every product that she used, and if I didn't have the product that she used, I wrote down something that would be like in place of it, something that would work. It has the same formula, same ingredients, things like that, so it'll properly work. You know, I don't know why words are escaping me right now. Let's just jump into the makeup. Started with the Charlotte Tilbury Glow Toner, I think. Now I don't have that. I do have the Lancome Tonique Comfort Toner. This is just a hydrating, soothing toner. It does the same thing, I think, as the Charlotte Tilbury one. And we are starting on a clean face, so I actually just washed my face, and this toner feels so good because I'm kind of dry. I'm going to take a little bit more. She said that skin prep is very important to this look, and you want to make sure that you let the skin prep sit on your skin. So I'm going to do this with you guys, and then I'm just going to sit for like 20 minutes to let my skin really absorb this. But my skin is just drinking all of that up. Next, she used the Fresh Oil Infused Serum. Again, I don't have that. This is the Doechii First Spray Serum. It's a bi-phase serum, so it has oil and hydration in there. So it's kind of the same thing as the Fresh Serum, I think. So I'm going to shake this up and then just spray it on my face so that way I can rub it in. And I applied a lot because we need that hydration. Next, we're going in with this CosRx Light Ampoule Serum. Kelsey used the Kiehl's Hydrating Serum. I don't have that. A lot of the skin prep I don't really have. I use a lot of Korean skincare, and Korean skincare is really hydrating, and my skin just loves it. So that's what I use. But it does the same thing. It's just really hydrating and nourishing for your skin. So, yeah, and you can already see how dewy we're looking right now. I love it. Next, I'm going to go in with the Tatcha water cream. Chelsea used the Charlotte Tilbury water cream. I love the Tatcha one. I've never tried the Charlotte Tilbury one, but I heard it's good. But nonetheless, a water cream. And with these, you really want to pat them into the skin, specifically the Tatcha water cream, because there are like little capsules in here that you need to activate in order to get like the right amount of hydration that this product gives you. So just a little tip. My lips are feeling a little dry right now, so I'm actually just going to go ahead and use some of this lip balm, if I can get it out. This is from Tatcha. It's the Lip Kitsu or Kissu lip mask. This is really nice. Love how hydrating it is. And look how cute she is. I love her. Next step, and probably one of the most important steps, Chelsea spent a lot of time explaining why this is important. She took an eye cream and then the faded or topicals faded brightening and clearing eye mask. She stressed how important eye cream is for hydrating your under eyes, especially because she used a lot of concealers and powders. And she said that she sandwiched them between the product, or she sandwiched the eye cream between the eye mask. I'm not entirely sure what she meant by that, but we're gonna figure it out. But first, I'm just going to apply a liberal amount of eye cream. And she said she did 2 layers, so you want to make sure you use a lot of eye cream. And I'm just being really gentle when I'm blending this in. I'm not pulling super hard. So now that the first layer of eye cream is in there and it's starting to absorb, I'm going to go in with another layer of this eye cream. Chelsea used the Kiehl's Avocado Eye Cream. I've heard great things about that. This is the Tatcha Ageless Revitalizing Eye Cream. Super hydrating. And I'm going to blend that in kind of lightly. Okay. showing, but you can still kind of see it there. And then we're gonna take our eye patches or eye masks. Okay. And Chelsea loves the topical ones. I always see her using them and wearing them and using them on her clients. So I know these are good. I don't use them as often as I should, but I'm gonna start now. And we're just gonna put that right on top. And these are sticky, so it's really gonna adhere to your under eye and just lock in all of that hydration. This is probably how she got her concealer to like look so laid and just poreless and blurred. Oh my god, when I saw those pictures of Doechii, I was, oh, that was literally my face. When I literally looked at her under eye, there were no creases, nothing. It was smooth and blurred, and I want to recreate that. I want to look like Doechii. Okay. So now those are on, looking like a cute little daddy. I'm gonna make sure that those are like nice and tight. Okay, so now that the skincare is on and starting to absorb, I'm gonna sit here for 20 minutes and let my skin properly absorb this and do its thing. So that way when we apply the makeup on top, it's just gonna sit evenly and beautifully and give us the most beautiful blend and hopefully give us that Doechii look. I'm praying. But I will be right back. I'm gonna, what time? It's 2:25 right now, so I'll be back at 2:45 and we will start the makeup. Alright, you guys, it has been 20 minutes. As you can see, it's 2:47, a little after 2:45. So my skincare has had time to sit and settle and really absorb into my skin. And we're ready for the makeup. I'm going to start by, actually, I'm going to keep these on. I'm going to keep these eye masks on because we're actually going to start with brows. And I literally pulled out all of the products we're going to use because I wanted to stay as true to her as possible. We're going to start with an eyebrow pen. Now, Chelsea used the NYX eyebrow pen. I have the Eye Method Hair-like eyebrow pen. I actually just got this sent to me today. I used it. I really liked how it works. So we're going to use this today. And I like this because it has a single-sided brow pen, but it also has this like double-sided one as well. So you can really get those nice hair-like structured strokes. That's what we're going to start with. Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with eyebrow pens. But since I don't have a lot of brows, I think this will really work for me. And I'm just going to start making my general shape. Okay, maybe, I don't know. She didn't have a super lifted look, kind of just like a natural eyebrow shape. So I do want it to lift my face, but I'm not trying to get like kind of notches, you know, just like a normal kind of healthy shape. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you guys in just a little bit so that way you can really see what's going on. So I use that to just get like the general shape of my eyebrows down. I'm gonna darken it up just a little bit just so it matches the other side, and we're gonna clean them up too, so I'm not really worried about it looking perfect. I just want them to look like the same. Okay. I think that's okay for now. I'm gonna let these dry a little bit, and then she took the ABH Brow Freeze Gel, and I actually do have that product, so we're gonna go ahead and use that. And I'm just gonna use this to just slick my eyebrows up. And hopefully this doesn't disrupt any of the ink or whatever. Oh, I think that made a difference. That looks really, I like that. I've never done this technique before, so this is something that I could actually incorporate into my routine, and I'm really liking this. I'm liking how these brows are turning out so far. This brow gel and then the brow pen routine, this is something I'm definitely going to keep doing. I really like how natural and just kind of laminated this looks. I'm going to clean this up with some concealer. I'm going to use the Lancome Ultra Wear Concealer. This is the shade 45, and this is also the concealer that Chelsea used on Doechii. I'm just going to take a small kind of brush and just clean up these edges. Yeah, you can already see like the difference that cleaning it up really just made, and just how nice that looks. You really don't need a whole lot of concealer. And I like that this concealer is pretty close to my skin tone shade because I don't want it to be super highlighted. And if you look at the pictures of Doechii, What really stands out is like her cheeks and like her base makeup. The base is just eating. So I really want everything else to kind of just help with that.
And now to prep her skin, I went in with the Donna Blurring Balm in the shade 9.5.
Okay, how to do like, I literally saved the video so that way I can go back and watch it if I needed like, you know, a little touch up or whatever. We're moving on to base, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off these eye patches. I'm not sure if you can save these. I've seen people online do it, so maybe I can do that. But look at how depuffed my under eyes are. And they're so like glossy and smooth. I'm gonna start doing this. This is crazy. Like, whoa. It's like plump. Like, my under eyes are very plump right now, so love that. Okay, we're gonna do primer. She used the Doechii Universal Blurring Balm, and as you can see, I love this product. I only have a little bit left, so I'm gonna take just a tiny little brush. And she also used the Doechii Water Powder Serum. I don't have that, but everybody is talking about it, so I'm probably gonna end up getting it. This combo, the Universal Blurring Balm and then the Water Powder Serum, that's gonna be great if you have like sweaty skin or if you're oily. It's a really nice combo for those skin concerns. But I'm just gonna take the Universal shade on the areas where I tend to get oily or sweaty, or where I have a lot of texture. And then I'm just gonna take some on my chin. And I'm also gonna take this around my mouth just to try and fill in those smile lines. So hopefully they don't cause that much of an issue. Next, we're using the Doechii Blurring Balm powders. These are the shades 6 and 7. I think 7 is a little warm or a little dark for me, and then 6 is just a little yellow. But I'm going to use them together, and we're putting foundations over them, so it's going to be fine. I'm going to start with 6, okay? And I'm going to use like a flat sort of foundation brush and use that to kind of just press this into my skin. Chelsea uses this as a base on all of her clients just to really even out and blur the skin, because it does just look beautiful on the skin. It looks natural, blurred. It's going to control your oils throughout the day. It's a really great base and prep product. So I'm going to focus 6 on the areas that I want to highlight around my face. So that's mainly my forehead, in this area right here. I'll take a little bit on my chin as well. And I'm going to take the shade 7 on the rest of my face, and this is the one I normally reach for, and this is my favorite product. Ooh. And just look how that just blends into the skin. It's beautiful. Alright, and this is going to help cover up any texture or acne scars as well. So it's kind of like you're doing a primer step, you're color correcting, you know, you're, when you take your, what's it called? When you take that concealer, skin prep, whatever it's called, I don't know. Spot concealing, that's what it is. It's kind of like all of those steps in one. I'm just going to go over with my brush and really just press this into my skin, because I want this to really be pressed into my pores. And it's already looking beautiful and blurred, like, and we look glowy too. I love this. The foundation that Doechii was wearing was a mix of the Lancome Ultra Wear and the YSL All Hours foundation. I only have the Lancome one, but I did some research on the All Hours foundation, and I figured out that the one size I feel like is pretty close in formulation to that foundation. They both have skincare, they're long wear, medium to full coverage, but it feels really light and airy on the skin. It doesn't feel heavy, but it gives you coverage that a heavy foundation would. So I'm gonna mix these two foundations, and I have the shade 435 in the Lancome, and then medium dark 40 in the one size. And I think the one size foundation is just a tad bit yellow for me. This is a golden undertone. I tend to be more neutral, but the shades were kind of difficult for me. So, but I think 435 might be a good match. We're gonna see. I'm gonna do one pump of each just to start. Ooh, I think I just flung foundation everywhere. Ignoring that. Okay. And then I'm just gonna mix this in with my hand and just really mix those two products together. This feels really nice. Let's see what that looks like. I think it'll match. We'll see. I'm just gonna use my finger to paint this onto the skin. So that way we're warming it up. We're giving it that first initial blend. So that way when we go in with our brush, it's gonna be even more blended and beautiful. So I started by just getting a good amount of that on my face, and I still have some product left over on this palette. So I'm just gonna start by making sure that the bristles on my brush are fully coated in this foundation and just really pressing that in so that way when we start to blend this in, it's not gonna look streaky or anything because you're just melting the products together. Let's see. This looks really nice. Ooh, I'm not someone who mixes foundations a lot, but I'm definitely gonna start to. I feel like that's just the next step in like makeup artistry, is when you can really curate finishes and, you know, how long a product wears or like pigment and things like that. You can really manipulate that once you start to learn about the products and what they do and how they work. You can really just start to do whatever you want. Look at the skin. This is pretty. Now, this looks really yellow on camera, but the match is actually pretty good in person. I am a little more warm than I like to be, but that's okay. We'll fix it later. But that's like my own fault just because these two foundation shades like aren't a perfect match for me. But that's fine. And I'm using a BK Beauty 101 brush. BK Beauty has some of the softest and most durable brushes I have ever used. Like, it just feels so good on my face. And they last a long time. I clean these every day and they don't shed. Like, I've had some of them for years and they still last me a good amount of time. And look at that. We look glowy and fully covered. I love this. Chelsea, this is beautiful. Okay. This definitely makes me want to get the YSL foundation just so I can see like what it really looks like when I mix those two finishes together. But the one size, again, is still pretty close, like from my research.
Just, you know, and then I also use.
So now that our foundation is on, blended, beautiful, we've covered literally everything. We're moving on to bronzer and blush. She used the Made by Mitchell curve case in the shade Shade and Laid, and then she also mixed in a blush shade, which is Cherry Cola. I love Made by Mitchell products. I only have this single curve case, but I've had this for months. I love it. This is great for makeup artists, or if you're just someone who just likes to mix and play around with shades. And these are so cheap too. These are like less than $30. You can get them on TikTok shop, Made by Mitchell website. I think Beauty Bay too. That's like where a lot of people buy them. I got this on TikTok shop and I paid less than $20. So I love her. Lasts a long time. Pigment is amazing, and I'm so happy that she's using this product because Made by Mitchell is like kind of an indie brand, you know. I think he is a makeup artist. I don't know a whole lot about him, but it's not like he's some super popular brand, you know. So it's really nice to know that she's repping out these smaller brands. But the product eats, so I get why. So I'm gonna start with Shade and Laid. Now I do need to do a little conversion really quick because Doechii is obviously darker than me and I don't want to do anything that's like too dark. I don't want to look, you know, crazy. So I'm probably not gonna mix that. Let me see. She used Cherry Cola, which will warm that up a little bit. And then let's try the Shade and Laid combo. See what that looks like. Okay. So I'm gonna start with Shade and Laid and then take some of Cherry Cola. I just want to see what this combination would look like. Take a little bit more. So this is what it's looking like after I mix those two shades. I think I can really use that as a bronzer. I think I can use that. We're gonna try. So I'm gonna take a fluffier brush and just take a little bit of that, and I'm just gonna work to build this up because this is darker than what I would do personally for like a bronzer slash contour. but I want to stay true to the inspo and not do anything that's like crazy. I like that. Oh, I like that. Okay, so as long as you're like light with it, it's not gonna look super crazy. I love how I said be light with it and then I added that much product. Hold on. Let me do some quick blending, some quick blends. So since we're working with such dark colors, you really want to be paying attention to where you're placing that product, because then it can start to work against you. Like you see right here, how it's kind of like, it does make that cut, but right around here, I don't really like that shadow. So I'm gonna go with my foundation brush and just lightly buff around the edges and just lighten that up a little bit. So that way it looks like more melted into the skin. I like that. Yo, I'm gonna take a little bit more, and I'm gonna be super careful with this. You see how I'm like spreading out this product? Like you really don't need a whole lot of this. These are super pigmented, super creamy, they blend well. And I'm just gonna take just a little bit on my forehead just to warm up that as well. I'm gonna take some on my temples as well. I like what's going on with the bronzing situation. I'm gonna take my foundation brush and just blend over here a little bit. My worst fear is like looking too warm on my forehead, so just doing this kind of helps with that, and especially since we use such a dark shade. But I will say mixing that blush in there really helped lighten that up. So I'm gonna start using this more and really working with these shades because they work really well together and I like what's happening. The blush she used was also from the Made by Mitchell palette. It was the Cherry Cola blush. So I'm just going to take my blush brush right on in there and warm it up on the back of my hand so that way we get an even distribution of product. And just blend that in there. And look at that shade. Look at that pink. Oh my god, I love how that looks. And I'm using a BK Beauty 109 brush. Like I said, these are my favorite brushes, especially this 109 brush. I think it's meant for like foundation, but I use it for bronzer or especially blush because I like a lot of blush and I like to get a, you know, a good amount of surface area. So this just makes it super easy. Okay, but that looks absolutely stunning. I don't know why I said that. Okay, but that looks beautiful. Look at the blush. Yes, love her. Next blush she used was from Danessa Myricks. So this is the like yummy skin blush flushed whatever, but it's in the shade Prima Donna. And look, this is a brand new unopened packaging. Look at that glossiness. It's like a hot pink. The light is making it look kind of peachy, but it is a hot fuchsia pink. Like it is beautiful. So not really fuchsia. Why did I say fuchsia? It's like a hot pink. Okay, I don't know my colors, but this is hot pink. Okay, and I'm just gonna take that right in there. Oh, look how, ooh, it's so glossy. Oh my god, and look how that looks on my hand. Oh, it's so like vibrant. It's like an electric pink. I'm gonna take a little bit of that and just blend that really into this outer half. Just blend that right on top. Now this is very vibrant, okay? I'm kind of like, whoa. But I do like this color. This isn't a color I would like reach for a whole lot, but I do like what it looks like, so I'm not mad. It looks really vibrant over here. Okay. Now normally I would take some blush on my nose, but we're trying to copy Doechii today, so I'm gonna skip doing that. As much as it hurts me to, I'm gonna stay true to the inspiration for you guys and for me. Before we move on to concealer, I'm going to take my foundation brush once again and just buff in, kind of buff in some of these edges because I really don't like harsh lines, and I don't want this to start to set in that harsh, you know, kind of state. So I'm just gonna buff this out a little bit, but like that right there, I'm not touching that. I want that to stay there. Now, Chelsea used 4 concealers and I have every single one of them. I'm so excited. So she used 2 Lancome concealers and then 2 Pat McGrath concealers. I have different shades just so they work for my skin tone. But this is 435 and 420 for the Lancome, and then M16 and M15 for the Pat McGrath concealers. But I'm really excited to see how these formulations work together because this is a combination I've never tried before. So she took the first shade, which is like the closest to her skin tone, and instead of placing this directly on my face, I'm actually going to take some on the back of my hand to warm up that product, because when you're using a lot of products like this, you want to be careful about how you apply them, so that way it's not like too much product in one area, you know? I'm going to take like a smaller brush just to be more precise with it and start on the bottom half and really just work my way up. And I'm going to start blending this concealer into the blush. So that way we get that light coverage, we get that highlighted look, that lifted look. I'm just going to keep that on like the outer half of my face. Or outer half of my under eye, let me be specific. Take a little bit more of that concealer. And do the same thing on the other side. And since we spent so much time on skin prep and prepping our under eyes, making sure that they're hydrated and plump and everything, this concealer should really just lay down and blend beautifully. And the longer we wear this makeup, it's not going to crease because we prepped our skin accordingly. I'm just going to clean up this blush a little bit. I don't like my blush to come down super far, so I like to use my concealer. But don't worry, we're going to go back over it, but I'm just going to do some quick cleanup. Next, we're going to take 420, and this is a lighter shade, but not too light. Still pretty close to my skin tone, but you want to build up these tones of concealer and these different, you know, undertones and colors and everything, especially if you like to do a really bright under eye. You don't just want to take, you know, one single bright color under your eye, because it's not gonna translate correctly on your face. It's gonna like look gray, or you're gonna see that darkness that you're trying to cover, or it's just not gonna look correct. So that's why I like to build up these colors. And then I'm gonna take 420 and just fill in that gap where I didn't take 435. And I like to work my concealer down the side of my nose as well. That's just a personal preference. And then blending that in. The under eye is lifted. She's blurred. She's covered. But we're only halfway done. Alright. The brush I'm using is a BK Beauty A506. It says Angie Hot and Flashy. I'm not really sure what that means, but it's my favorite concealer brush. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to take my blush brush really quickly and just buff over the concealer and try to blend those two together just to get that shape back. When I first added this blush, it was a little too much pigment and I was a little afraid. But now that I've added my concealer, I'm more comfortable, so I'm gonna go ahead and blend that in a bit more. Okay. And I like to take my blush on the apples of my cheeks. That's a personal preference. That will never change. Okay, I'm not sure if she's doing setting sprays between the layers of makeup. She didn't say that in her video, so for the sake of like staying true, I'm not gonna do that. So we're just gonna jump into the other concealers that she used. So we're gonna start, I don't know if I'm gonna use M15 because it's a bit yellow, but I will use M16. This one, I think it's more of like a pinkier undertone, or at least that's what it looks like on me, or maybe more golden. Not really sure, but it's definitely brighter, so that's all I need. And this one, I'm gonna focus this right in this inner corner. and really blend that in to get that highlighted look. And I want to use this to kind of help with my nose contour too. So you can see we're really creating that shape. And then I'm going to look up and blend this into my creases. So that way when we set with powder, it's not gonna, you know, settle into our creases. This is a really nice concealer. This is hydrating. I've used the Lancome concealer before. That's like my everyday concealer, but the Pat McGrath one, this is very hydrating. I haven't used this a whole lot. But it has a lot of slip to it. So if you have like drier skin, or this would be great for like mature skin, I think. Because of that slip, it's really going to be hydrating and it's not going to settle like a full coverage or a more, well, this is full coverage, but like a matte, you know, formula would. It's not going to settle the same way. So I think that's really nice. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this concealer on my eye, just to cover up any darkness, because I have dark under eyes and then that kind of translates onto my eyelid as well. So I like to use a concealer. You can use an eye primer. If you're doing a lot of eyeshadow, I would recommend doing an eye primer instead, just because it works better with, you know, eyeshadows. But we're not doing a whole lot of eyeshadow today, so a concealer will be just fine.
For her concealer, I went with the Lancome concealer. I used the shade 550. And then
this is what all of the cream products look like. We're about to set the under eyes, and she used the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder, and this is the Ube Birthday Cake shade. I'm pretty sure this is limited edition, but who knows, she might make it a permanent because it's a really nice powder. But she's really nice. And before we set, I'm just gonna take a little concealer and blend out these creases. Now this concealer has been sitting here a little bit, so it's already started to self-set, which is really nice. And then I'm going to use a powder puff to set my under eye, just to keep up with the kind of blurred look we got going on. Now, I usually take a pressed powder before I set my under eye, but she used just the ube powder and then went in with a pressed powder after. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to look up and just press this into the creases. That does look beautiful. It looks really nice. Let me see. Whoa. That's definitely blurred. I mean, this is a good powder. This is a good combo. Okay. Gonna blend out the under eye. And then set. I love this color because it's brightening, but it's not like ashy like the pink powder is. It's just really like natural. I love that. Woohoo! Chelsea used the Huda Beauty powder. I think it was like cinnamon bun for Doechii's like skin tone shade. I'm actually going to use the one size powder because all of the Huda Beauty powders I have are like the pink one, banana bread. Like those are really light and they're meant for the under eye. They're not really meant for my whole face. So I have the translucent powder as well as the rich peach shade of the one size powder. So I'm going to see what rich peach looks like because I do want a loose setting powder that is my skin tone shade. But this one is a bit warm for me. This is great for when I'm like in the summertime when I'm really warm and toasted. But I don't know how this is going to look like right now, especially because my makeup, like my foundation's already a bit more warm. So I'm just going to lightly start to set these areas and see what that looks like. I don't think that's bad. Let me see. I don't think that's horrible. I think I can get away with it. So I'm gonna take some of this down here because that's when we'll really see what it looks like. Okay. No, yeah, I can get away with this. I can do it. Okay, I'm gonna set my whole face with the rich peach powder. But look how blurred we look. Oh my god, it's coming together, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm gonna flip to like the bigger side just so I can get more space. And I'm dusting off the excess powder. And just take that right under there. And I don't want to go over the blush too much because I really like that color we got going on. But we look amazing. Oh my god. This is so good. I'm so excited to see what this looks like when we're done. Alright, and then always set the neck area. You don't want to forget this area. Okay. And then I'm going to flip back to the smaller side for my forehead, just so I can be really precise around my brows, because I don't want to get any powder on my brows. We spent so much time on this, I don't want to mess it up. And really just press that into the skin. And I'm pressing this so I can really set these cream products down so they don't move. And this is the powder base so far. We're looking so good. Okay, let me catch up, see what else she did.
NARS Laguna 8 to bronze, and then for...
Okay, she used the NARS Laguna powder bronzers, and I have the shades 5 and 6. So I'm gonna start with 5 just to see what that color looks like. This one is a bit lighter. And just take that right over that area. Ooh, that gave us exactly what we needed. That was perfect. Okay, just gonna take that right there too. All right. And then I'm going to take some on the forehead. I think this is going to be perfect for my forehead. It's going to warm me up, but it's not going to be too much, you know? Chelsea used a lot of blushes. Me and her are literally the same. I love her so much. So she used a lot of NARS blushes, and I don't have a whole bunch of them. But I do have a good amount of blushes, and I have like the right colors, so it'll be fine. We're going to start with the Haus Labs Color Fuse blushes, and this is the shade Hibiscus Haze. Let me see. Chelsea used, let me see, I wrote it down. What did she write? NARS Dominant. Okay, she used Dominant, Exhibit A, and Obsession from NARS. Those are the powder blushes she used. The only one I have is Exhibit A. So we're going to start with the Haus Labs blush. And then this is in the shade Hibiscus Haze. And this is going to be in place of Dominant, since it's the same kind of shade. These Haus Labs blushes are pretty close in formula to the NARS blushes because they're like kind of a buildable blush. The pigment is there, it's just not going to be like pow right out of the gate, you know. You'll have options to build it up if you want to. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm using a Morphe V115 brush, I believe. Let me see. It's literally like matte black. Okay, yeah. So this is a Morphe V115. These are really nice. They're like vegan brushes, so they're really soft. Okay. Next, she took Exhibit A from NARS, and I have that in like this blush palette. And this is like a true orangey red blush, and I don't use this a lot, but it is so pretty. I'm gonna take that right over it and just kind of give it like that ombre look. And look, oh, it just kind of like melts into that. I love it. Ooh. And then next she took the shade Obsession, which is like an orangey peachy shade. I have this Laritzi, I think that's what it's called, Laritzi Cosmetics. I got this in a Ipsy bag a long time ago, but it's in the shade Sacred, and it's literally just like a peachy orange shade, and these are really pigmented, so be careful. I'm going to focus that kind of right in the middle because you really want to see the ombre of these shades. Ooh, I love what we got going on. This is so pretty. I'm going to take that Laguna 5 and just kind of blend these in one more time. Personally, I prefer to take my blush before my bronzer, so that way I can kind of melt the two products together. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this over it. Now for nose contour, I'm going to start with Laguna 6. No, Laguna 5. Okay. I'm pretty sure she used the curve case for Doechii's nose contour. I don't like working with creams when I do nose contour just because it gets really muddy and you have to be really precise about where you set. And that's just like not the type of makeup person that I am. So I'm just going to do a light contour with this bronzer, and I'm just going to start by creating the bridge and just lightly dragging that down. And then I'm gonna drag that up into my brow bone so it looks kind of cohesive. And then when it gets to like this middle part right here, I'm gonna start by just kind of creating like a little button. So just contour the underside, kind of like a diamond shape. And then make these two lines right around here. So it's more subtle than Doechii's nose contour, I think, but it's more me, you know, because I just feel like really heavy nose contour just doesn't read well on me. So this is what I do. Now Chelsea didn't mention anything about using a setting spray before like any other products. I just feel like I need it right now just to blend all of these powders together. So I'm going to take MAC Fix Plus. This is the setting spray of all setting sprays. It's just going to melt all of your powders together and give it more of like a skin-like look again. And as you can see, it just really brought life back to all of those powders again. It still looks beautiful and blended. It didn't mess up anything that we did, but it just rehydrated those powders, so we look like a person again. I was looking back at the picture. I'm going to take a little bit of my bronzer shade right here just to get like that nose, not that nose contour, but just to get that snatched look again. And I'm keeping this really subtle because I don't have the like defined and really sharp facial features that Doechii has. If you have like a sharp jawline like that, go ahead and carve that to the gods, you know. But it would look weird for me to like carve out my jawline when I like have a very soft jawline. So that's why I'm just being really soft about this, but I still want to have that same effect, you know? I'm gonna do my eyes really quick, and she kept it super simple on the eyeshadow, which I love because I love when the base is like, you know, what you're paying attention to. So I'm gonna take the Laguna 6 shade of the bronzer, so not the bronzer that we use on our cheeks, it's a darker shade than that. And she just took some of this and just blended it into her crease just to add some dimension. This is a Fenty Beauty eyeshadow brush. And then I'm just gonna take a fluffy brush and just start buffing that out. I'm gonna drag this up a little bit just to kind of fill in that space between like my brows and my eye. And then on the inner like lid part, it's just like a peachy shade. So this is a Dose of Colors eyeshadow palette. This is the Sassy Sienna's palette. And these are really nice shadows, super blendable, nice amount of pigment. I'm gonna go in with that same Fenty Beauty brush. Why are words so hard today? And I'm gonna take this first shade right here. This is more orange than peachy, but I think I can make it work. And just lightly place it on top. Just kind of buff that out. I do think I'm gonna need something a little lighter to put on top of that, but I do like the tone of this shadow, but it's just a bit too dark for what we're going for. And I'm keeping this really soft because this isn't supposed to pop on the eye. It's just supposed to sit there, you know, do its job, fill in the space, but in no way is this supposed to be the focal point of the look. I'm just gonna take this lighter shade out of this Patrick Ta palette on my finger and just lightly place that on top. I'm gonna take a black eyeliner and just fill in like my entire eye. So I'm gonna do my under eye as well as tight lining. This is the Urban Decay pencil in the shade 0. I'm gonna put on these lashes. These are from Ione. I get them from like Dollar Tree. But the lash that Doechii was wearing, it wasn't like a really big full lash. Like, yeah, it was a full lash, but it was more of like a half lash style. And these kind of fit that. They're like kind of big, but they're not gonna take over my whole like look, you know. So I'm gonna put these on real quick and then we'll come back for highlighter and finish everything up. I'm also gonna go ahead and add some bottom lashes as well. This is what Chelsea did to Doechii, and I literally went on Amazon and got these specifically for this look. I just put in like manga bottom lashes and I got some of these. These were like $8.99. I'm using the 6mm ones, and I just put 2 right under here, and then I'm gonna do the other 2 on this side and then we'll come back. We're using these Rare Beauty blushes as highlighters, which is something I already love to do. So I have the shades Happy and Truth, which are the shades that Chelsea used. I'm going to start with Truth and take that kind of just right in the middle, and then layer Happy right in the center, just so you get like that, like it fits in with the blush, but you still get that like highlighted effect, so it's not interrupting any of the colors we got going on. I really like how she did that. I've never thought to like use these. I've used them as like blush toppers and things like that, but I always put a highlighter on top. But I never thought to use these alone as a highlighter, but honestly, it eats. To highlight the inside of my nose, I'm going to use this gold shade from this Tarte Amazonian Clay palette. Chelsea used, I think, a Dior palette is what she said. I don't have any Dior highlighters, but this looks exactly like what she used in the photo, so I really like that. Whoa! Look at how blinding that is. Just gonna drag that down, and I like to feather it up just slightly in here. Okay, and then I don't think she did this, but I'm gonna take a little bit of this lighter shade right in my inner corner. I love a super bright inner corner, and it's not gonna be super noticeable, but it'll do its job, you know? I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with the Fix Plus one more time because we're gonna take a finishing powder over this. I'm gonna take my Hourglass Vanish powder on a fluffy brush and just blend that over the blush just to really diffuse that into the rest of the face. And you can already see that when I look over here, it looks nice and blended and blurred. And then over here, it's just kind of like harsh and in your face. So I'm gonna use this powder to really soften this up. I'm gonna take my Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder on a clean powder puff. I just depotted mine into a different container, but it's the Charlotte Tilbury powder. I'm gonna take that to soften and brighten the under eye and also kind of redefine the contour. And this is in the shade 3. I don't know if I said that. Chelsea used a couple different lip products, but I'm gonna use this Maybelline Superstay lip crayon, and this is in the shade Drive the Future, and then the MAC lip liner in this shade Chestnut. And I started with the lip crayon just to get that color, and then I'm darkening up the edges with Chestnut. And then I'm taking a peachy nude shade in the middle of my lip. This is the ABH Lip Velvet in the shade Peach Amber. And I'm just focusing that in the middle just to get that kind of peachy tone in there. And then we're taking a clear gloss all over this, and I'm cracking open a fresh Huda Beauty gloss. This is in the shade Glassy. Right over there. Oh, perfect. And that is the finished look. I tried to like stay true to like the jewelry and stuff. She had like these really big gold like hoops that were just beautiful. I don't wear gold jewelry, so this is like all I had, but you know, it's very me, very cute. This is it. This is so pretty. I love how this looks. Now I will admit, this is very full coverage. This is not an everyday makeup look, okay? I look beat down to the gods. There is not a pore in sight. There is no texture. We are blurred. We are covered. We're literally everything. We're glowing where we need to glow. This nose contour, beautiful, crazy. I did use a darker shade just so like it would stand out more. In person you can clearly see that line, but it looks beautiful on camera, which is what we were going for. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you like it. I feel beautiful. I love this lip. I showed you guys the lip earlier, but this is like darker than I would normally do, but I really like how this looks on me. It just looks so nice. I can't stop looking at myself, and I think we kind of nailed the lashes too, because I had a hard time looking for lashes that would match the style that Chelsea used, but I think we did it, you guys. I think we did it. Now obviously Doechii is darker than me, so I don't look exactly like her, but I look pretty damn close. I even followed like how she did like her contour, so I put some contour like around here on like the temples, and then a little bit on my jawline like we talked about. Kept it soft just to, you know, fit my natural features. But this is a beautiful makeup look. Obviously Chelsea is a very talented makeup artist. This proves that. I mean, you didn't need me to prove that. She'd been proving herself. But she is amazing. She is wonderful. She's awesome. I love her. You guys should definitely go follow her. I love looking at her look. She's just amazing, talented. everything. But again, thank you so much for watching. This was really fun. Let me know if you like me recreating these like looks and stuff, because it's really just about techniques. It's not even about the products. I did want to stay true to the products that Chelsea used just because that was just the nature of the video. But you can honestly get this type of look with any products you use, just making sure that the formulations are same, the ingredients, things like that, making sure that it has the same type of finish, things like that. Just making sure that, you know, the things that matter are the same. It doesn't really matter how expensive the product is or where you buy it, just as long as it looks the same on the skin, that's all that matters. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on TikTok. We're building a little community over there as well. But I love you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.